What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Alignment Football, and today's video is going to be another PSA, and this one is on big girls and why they are banned. So to start off, what am I talking about? So what I'm talking about big girls being banned, I'm talking about face masks like these, and they're basically defined as any overbuilt face masks that aren't allowed anymore. And so the big names that really aren't allowed these anymore is the NFL, unless you have strict doctor's note, which only a couple guys in the NFL have been able to get reason to wear them. NCAA, this was their first season without being able to wear them. And I'm not sure about US amateur football. I wasn't able to find a lot on there, so you guys will have to help me out there. But in Canada, you are not allowed to wear a big girl anymore in any amateur football in Canada. I'm not sure how football is regulated as much in the States as it is here, but in Canada we basically have a whole set for Canada amateur football rules for visors and stuff you're allowed to wear, stuff you're not allowed to wear, that kind of stuff. So that's what I know about. And so we're not allowed to wear big girls or overbuilt face masks anymore in any Canada amateur football. However, okay, so when they're talking about overbuilt face masks, what are they talking about? So the main one that probably everyone recognizes is this one right here. This is called the train face mask. The other ones that you'd also probably know about is the Bane. That is when the bars go this way. So same style, just a little bit different. They also have the traditional big girl, which Rydell came out with, the S2 BDC HTLW. It's the 5, which they categorize as overbuilt face masks that are not allowed. The one exception to that rule, though, which they don't consider overbuilt, is the X2 BDC TXLW, which I still own. I just don't have it here right now, and I do have a review on that as well. So I'll show you guys what that one looks like as well. So it has the same style, which I like about it, but it's, for some reason, it doesn't fall into that overbuilt category, which is why a lot of linemen, more specifically D linemen, are wearing it. So they basically gave 4 main reasons why they stopped wanting to allow the face mask anymore, and these were rules put in, or the reasons, by the NCAA. NFL used these as well, and then Canada Amateur Football piggybacked off the evidence in the NFL and NCAA and used them as theirs as well. So the first one is added weight and more robust construction of the masks appears to negatively affect the structural integrity of the helmet during impact certification. So what you're getting away from here is that they say that the construction on the face mask has gotten worse with additional bars. When they mean that, they're talking more about lightweight face masks. I don't have one here. This is a full solid steel, but when they talk about lightweight, it's the hollow steel face masks. The reason they make most of the big girls out of the hollow steel is because they're already so heavy as it is. However, by adding more bars, you're adding a little more structural integrity to them. I do know that they do bend right in the lightweight around the top here, but they can't use a rule for that because none of the NFL players usually wear a lightweight style. They have theirs usually custom made to be made out of solid steel face masks like all the other ones, so they're a little heavier, but the construction is better. There's also the titanium face masks for the Train 2.0 that Schutt makes, which are lighter than it. And there's also now chromoly tubing face masks, which, although they're hollow, they're just as strong as any of those. So the issue of construction, they're basing it off just the lightweight feature, I'm assuming, in the Rydell helmets, which I think they can't classify that. If there's only going to be 4 major reasons why, you can't classify that for an all North America ban on big girls. The next one is the added weight of the masks asks to shift the helmet's center of gravity forward. This could have a tendency to fatigue the neck's extensors and result in head down position during contact and tackling. The added weight increases the head's effective mass and the increased total rotational acceleration following impact. Okay, so there's 2 main points to this one. It's you're fatiguing your neck and you're adding a little more rotational acceleration. The rotational acceleration I cannot disprove, but I do agree with that one a bit because you're adding a little weight, so it could be adding more force on your neck and that. However, when they're talking about fatigue in the neck, when it's lightweight or even not lightweight, right? So I've used ones with way more bars and less bars. I've used a couple different styles, right? So even this one, I had to adjust to it, right? So the adjustment period is about 3 days, I found, wearing it. So I wore my helmet around my house for about 3 days period, and after that, your neck is completely used to the extra weight of the helmet, and when you switch back from it, you feel that gap, how much lighter it is. But as soon as, you get more used to that style of face mask, you don't have any issues transferring between different big girl styles. So when I first started wearing a big girl, that'd be 3 years ago, my blue one when I used to play for Colts, it's the first picture I ever posted on my Instagram. I had to wear that for about 3 days around my house to get used to it because it was really heavy compared to what I'd used before. And, getting used to it in practice, it did take me about a total week of getting used to moving my head and doing everything like that with it. After that, though, I was fine for the rest of the season. I wore a different face mask for the following season, and I've worn 2 other styles since then, right? So it's as soon as you get used to having the different, there's no fatigue on your neck at all. You get used to it over time. So I really don't think they can consider that as an argument for it. Number 3 is the additional smaller spaces created in the mask increase the risk of a player's fingers getting incidentally caught between the wires or the bars, potentially causing serious hand injury or the opponent as well as neck injury of the wearer. So this is the point that makes me the angriest. The reason the big girl was invented, if you're unaware, is because of Justin Tuck. So the reason he had it made is because he was having a lot of neck injury issues from people being able to grab his face mask, right? So they invented that specifically because you cannot put your fingers in it to grab because the spacing and the way they angle the bars on purpose. So I'm going to look at 2 of the styles for this. The Train 2.0, which I have right here, which I can easily demonstrate on, and the HTLW. So with the other one, the big girl I'm talking about right now, the HT, the bars are so small like this, right? The way they stack, you cannot get your fingers in them. Imagine, for the NFL, NCAA guys, more because it started there, look at my hands. They are not big. If I could not fit my hands in the bars of that face mask, how could an NFL or NCAA player do that? Their hands are much bigger than mine. I have teeny hands, right? So that doesn't make sense to me at all how they could say that. Also, especially when they're banning a lot, when you're looking at it more of the Train 2.0 style, these bars are slanted specifically because putting them on that angle makes it much harder to get your fingers in and grab on. Even in the one which is legal now, the TX S2BDC TXLW face mask, even though there's less bars, you can still kind of grab by angling the bars in on either angle. It makes it a lot harder to grab on. So they do that on purpose, right? With those angles. All right, so it started with the big girl, and then it worked out to the other style face mask. So they changed them, and they made them better in order so you couldn't grab on. That was the whole point of the reason the big girl was invented, was so you couldn't grab their face mask. And now they're saying that that's a reason why it's banned. It doesn't make sense to me. And the final one is the additional material may negatively affect a player's behavior during contact and tackling due to an added false sense of security. Okay, another one which I disagree with. I wrote an article on this a long time ago, and part of it was I put "be the hammer, not the nail." So if wearing a big girl makes you feel more secure and you're going to go in with your hits harder, that's better for you, right? So if you start playing football from a young age, the saying I always heard was "be the hammer, not the nail." Whoever hits harder is going to have less impact. Maybe. Not 100% sure on that, so I won't. Don't quote me on saying that as a fact. But I was always taught to be the hammer, not the nail. So if you're going into a hit, some guy's coming to rock you. You go and try and rock him as well. Doesn't that help evenly disperse the energy and help limit concussions on both ends? If you both really go in, right? If one guy is going to get absolutely nailed by another guy, he's going to take on all the impact. There's going to be a lot more likely chance that he's going to get a concussion because of that. So by adding this false sense of security, isn't actually going to help you against concussions in that regard? Again, I don't understand that, right? So the 2 biggest leagues in the world for American football now, NFL and NCAA, okay? Neither of them use it anymore. Of the 4 points on which they don't use them anymore, one of them was reasonable. There's so many more benefits to them that I see that should outweigh the other aspects. And at least that they shouldn't be able to limit when an NFL player or an NCAA player, I'm not sure how the contracting works in NCAA, but if you sign a contract with a team and there's team doctors and all these other aides and that kind of stuff, shouldn't you be able to decide for your health what you want to wear, right? And now they're having to go these extensive lengths just to try and be able to wear them now, and it doesn't make sense to me. So there you guys go. I did an article on this a long time ago, so I'll link to that right now in this annotation. Otherwise, don't forget to go check out all my social media listed right here. Also my website right here. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching today. Don't forget to check out for some more PSAs coming. Also, don't forget to leave comments down below about other PSAs that you want me to rant about a bit and that kind of thing. So yeah, thanks.